welcome to Creating with Sophia. I'm Sophia, and in today's episode, I want to let you know a little bit as to why I started sewing. So it's interesting because sewing is not something that I thought I would be doing. A friend of mine, about 3 weeks ago, she told me that she was interested in learning how to sew and was going to be taking a class. And I thought, hey, that sounds like fun. So she invited me and I went along. And let me tell you, the very first day, I was nervous. I didn't know what we were going to do. So there I am. I walked into the class. I got there half an hour early just so I could register for the class. And while I was registering, the class instructor was in the room preparing the materials that she was going to need. So I thought, hey, this is a good way for me to get a little insight before the class starts. And so I started telling her that I was going to observe her to see what she was doing. So she started talking to me. It was interesting because the first thing that I learned about sewing is that you need the correct scissors to be able to cut the material. And so she said, I don't want to see anybody using my scissors to be cutting paper. And I thought, interesting. I use my scissors to cut everything. So that's the first thing that I learned about sewing. The second thing that I learned about sewing is how to thread the sewing machine. So what they did was they had a new sewing machine that, it was new to them. And they told me, my friend, they were like, hey, you two can work on this project, which means that let's learn how to thread the sewing machine. And so mind you, my friend and I had never taken a sewing class. We have never sewed anything in our entire life. And so here we are. We took the manual. I had the manual in my hand, trying to read step by step on how to thread the sewing machine, while at the same time, my friend had her cell phone and she was YouTubing or looking through Google to see what information she could get. At the same time, the instructor was also, it wasn't the instructor, it was kind of like the helper. She was also trying to figure this out as well. So here we are, the three of us, trying to figure out how to thread. I did realize that we did make a mistake, but it's okay. All we had to do was take it out again and try it again. And eventually we got it done. And once we got it done, she says, okay, who would like to start? My friend looked at me, she goes, you go. And so when I get nervous, I laugh. And so I was laughing. And I just couldn't stop laughing because I didn't know what to expect. So here I am. So I ended up grabbing the material, which is this. This is it right here. This is the first thing that I made in class. So I took this, obviously before it was done, and I just put it into the foot presser of the sewing machine, and I started pressing with my foot. And in the beginning, I went too fast, and it kind of startled me. I was like, what? And then I started going slowly. I was like, wait a second. This is kind of like driving a car. And when you press on the car, it'll either go fast or slow, depending on how you press it. So I was like, why don't I just press it slow? So I started pressing it slow. So when this was going through the machine, I was pulling it. So I was holding it from one hand and then pulling from the other. And I felt like I was pulling hard, But then I was like, wait a second, I think it just moves on its own. And I just kept pulling, but then when I stopped pulling, it was just moving on its own. While at the same time, I was pressing. So here it is, moving on its own. And I was like, oh, this is pretty neat. And so this is the first thing that I did. Obviously, I did it inside out because they taught me the correct way to do it. They also taught me that when you start a project, when you start in the sewing machine, you want to go backwards a little bit and then come forward a little bit. And so this way, when you're ready to cut the thread, you cut it and you don't have to make a knot on it. And so, and you do that in the beginning, and they taught me that you also do it at the end. So that has stayed with me. I have been practicing that. And this was inside out. And again, see, it's not perfect. And see, it's not perfect. It's just, again, it was my first class. I was nervous. See how this is still there. This is the hole where I had to take it out. And there is a small hole here as well. So again, you know, it's not perfect. It was my first class. I came home that night after class and I showed it to my family. As soon as I walked in, I was like, look, you guys, I did this in my first day of class. And I was so excited, and they were excited for me too. And my daughter, she goes, well, what is it, Mommy? And I told her that she could just put it on her head. It's small enough for her, so it's perfect. She could also use it on her dolls. But again, I kept it just so I can show people that on the first day of class, this is what I ended up doing. And I was so excited and I was impressed. And so I came home and I called my mom and I was like, Mom, do you have an extra sewing machine that you can lend me? Because I feel like I wanna start sewing. And she was like, yeah, come over. I'll give you one of mine old machines and you can start practicing. And that's what I did. And honestly, I haven't stopped practicing ever since. I'm going to be taking my 3rd class next week. And so my mom gave me the machine. I learned how to thread it. I watched videos and this and that. I went through the whole motion as if I was starting all over. And what I can do is in my next episode, I can show you what I started working on my own at home, because at the same time that I'm doing projects in class, I'm still practicing at home. But I do have to warn you that if it's your first time sewing, you are probably going to love it as much as I do. After the very first try, I felt like I just wanted to sew. I just want to go home and I just want to sew. So I'm very grateful that you have joined me on this journey. I'm going to show you what I've been learning, as well as the mistakes that I've been making, or that I will be making, because again, I'm just learning. I'm just learning how to sew. So this is about my journey. And I guess I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.